Welcome, everyone. Welcome back to LegalSpeak, a Cold North production. I'm the Law Morris, and this is usually the video essay series where I get to talk about the games I've been playing and what I think of the medium as a whole. This week's going to be a little bit different. We're just going to be talking about E3. I'm going to be talking about the major conferences that went down and what I kind of took away from them. You can find everything we do all in one spot over at coldnorthpro.com. It's a great website. You can see our podcasts, including NoRefunds, the podcast that watches bad movies, so you don't have to. Every day I wonder why I do that. But we're just going to jump right in with Google Stadia. So definitely the highlight for Google Stadia is that they say they're going to be able to do 4K 60 frames a second with a 35 megabit per second download speed. We'll see if that comes true. I'm not sure. I mean, that's a pretty tall order. I think that the biggest problem for Stadia is definitely going to be data caps. So Ben, the guy that actually runs NoRefunds, and he is on HardReset quite a bit with us. So Ben has a 1,000 gigabyte data cap, even in his home. 1,000 gigabytes is a lot of data, but for a home, it's not an infinite amount, and it's not even effectively an infinite amount. It is something that you can hit. You can hit the roof quite a bit, especially with streaming. I think that streaming it could be the future, but if it is, it's a future that is ahead of the present. And that's kind of what the future always is. They're kind of putting the cart in front of the horse, I feel like, with Stadia. We'll see how it turns out. That Founders Edition where, you get to get your gamer tag early, and you get a controller, and you get a Chromecast, and you get 3 months of Stadia, and you get to gift 3 months of Stadia. For $130, that's really not my thing. The reason that I'm going to at least try out Stadia is because I want to try out mouse and keyboard. I'm personally, I went through a PC phase in my mid-teens, and I've been playing consoles ever since because I'm too stupid to build a PC. I just figured I would try out Stadia to get a good feel of if I like mouse and keyboard and if that's something I might want to pursue in the future. The price is pretty good, $10 a month. I would like to see more details on what that $10 a month really gets you. But the way that they're pricing out and like charging for games, the fact that you just buy a game and then you own it forever, that seems like it's going to be interesting to me, because if you play a game enough, and it's an absurd amount, but the fact that we have people putting literally thousands and thousands of hours into Destiny, if Google is hosting these games in real time on their server hardware, if you play a game enough, eventually Google is losing money on that game. By just charging a flat cost, I can definitely see them losing money on games eventually. It's the same reason that PlayStation Now started as a rental service, and you can't buy games on PlayStation Now because every time you turn on that game, it costs Sony money. And every time you turn on a game on Stadia, it's going to cost Google money. I don't know. I'm excited to try it out. I'm definitely not going to buy the controller. I'm definitely not going to buy the Founders Edition. Other than that, it was pretty boring. I feel like they didn't give us nearly enough detail. Moving on to EA Play. EA Play started off pretty loud. They started off with a bang with Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Jedi Fallen Order, it looks interesting. It looks good. That being said, it looks good, not great. I'm excited to see how it plays. It looks like it's going to be pretty fun. I want it to kind of be that, like, I definitely don't want it to be open world, but I want it to be that linear wide, a lot like the newer Tomb Raider games are. It gives you a lot of freedom, but it is still very linear. That's what I would like from Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. The movement looks a little floaty, but it's not finished yet, so maybe they'll polish that up. But also, it's the Force. You can be floaty. Forrest Whitaker's face model looked really bad. That looked like PlayStation 3 graphics, and I just wasn't crazy about that. But that's pretty much the worst I can say about that game. And not that I'm looking to say bad things, but like, when the worst thing I can say is it looks good, not great, and Forrest Whitaker's face model looks pretty bad, they're doing pretty well. They're doing pretty well with that game. Apex Legends, I'm not into a ton of the Apex competitive stuff. The new Legend looked really cool. Her name is Watson. She's more of a strategic defensive player. She can set up these electric fences that really it changes not only the geography of the map in a very small area, but it can be used strategically to set up traps with your teammates, and I think that's a really, really cool thing. I think it's going to end up adding a lot of depth to the game that maybe the game hasn't really had. So I'm excited for that, and it does give players the opportunity to really get in the middle of the circle in the late game, set up a really good trap, and kind of post up and wait to win. So I'm excited to play as Watson. I think that's going to be pretty cool. Battlefield 5. New multiplayer maps were unveiled. New Theater of War coming to... Oh, no, that can't be right. I wrote Battlefield 4. That can't possibly be right. They increased the max rank from 50 to 500. I don't play Battlefield 5, but watching this stuff, I decided, yeah, this looks cool. This looks like it's a game for me. So I went out and bought it. It was on sale. I bought it with my friend, and we're going to play it. I'm going to see what it's all about. FIFA and Madden, I just don't care about those games. That looked pretty boring. Sims 4 is a terrible addiction that I think there should be support groups for. That being said, Island Living expansion coming June 21st to Mac and PC and July 16th to console. I will probably be downloading that. I say it's a terrible addiction, but it's something that it's got its hooks in me, right? I need my next fix. And then that was kind of it for EA Play. It was pretty lackluster, pretty underwhelming. Then we moved on to the big kahuna, Microsoft. They opened with Outer Worlds. It's launching on Game Pass, which isn't really a surprise because Microsoft recently purchased Obsidian. And it looks basically like what Fallout 4 should have been. That being said, I'm still not interested at all. I didn't want to play Fallout 4 and I don't want to play Outer Worlds. Ninja Theory has a new game. Can't believe they're still doing the world premiere. Bullshit. That's so stupid. Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I still need to play Ori and the Blind Forest. I know that's something that is definitely a lot of people seemed to really, really enjoy it, and I'm really looking forward to Will of the Wisps. I'm definitely going to be playing through Ori and the Blind Forest before February 11th of 2020, I guess. And then we moved on to Minecraft Dungeons. Now, this game, it looks generic. It looks pretty uninspired. I thought it was really stupid that they said, from the creators of Minecraft. We all fucking know who made Minecraft. It was Notch, and I don't think Notch is making Minecraft Dungeons. I guess I'm not involved in the development. Maybe he is, but I don't think he is. So spring 2020, whatever. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order came back, had another trailer, looked pretty good. World premiere. Dumb. A Blair Witch Project game? That was really strange. Kind of a strange IP to be seeing. I wasn't expecting that at all. Coming out August 30th. That being said, looked pretty intriguing. And then Cyberpunk. It was cool to get a pretty good look at the male version of V. It seemed weird that they were censoring all those cuss words until the end when they made that big Keanu Reeves reveal and he walks up and he says, "Wake the fuck up, samurai," and they didn't censor that. That made a lot of sense. Then it was like, oh, they're being cheeky. I'm super hyped for this game. This game looks like, I would say it's number 3 on my hype list right now, behind Halo and Death Stranding. So definitely going to be picking this one up on day one. Battletoads, it's very strange. It's launching on Game Pass. It's very tough to say. I don't know why, but there's something wrong with the art style. It looks too cartoony and not like 90s edgy enough. But that's really all I have to say on that. Age of Empires 2 Definitive Edition, remastered in 4K, remastered audio, features a new campaign, which is really weird, and it's releasing in the fall of 2019. I would really like to see if this is releasing on Xbox or if it was just PC. I didn't catch that. That's all well and good, but what about Age of Empires 4? Like, what happened to that game? It got announced a few years ago. I was crazy excited because I love Age of Empires. So Microsoft, when are we going to get more word on that? Matt Booty, the head of Xbox Game Studios, came out. He announced that they've acquired Double Fine. Leaves me wondering, is Psychonauts 2 going to be an Xbox exclusive? Why was Brutal Legend front and center? Again, kind of leaves me wondering because going back to on Jablinski Games just maybe a couple months ago, Jack Black was playing Brutal Legend and he only played part of the game. He didn't come back to it in a later episode. He just was playing Brutal Legend. And I get that he was in the game, so yeah, he's going to play the game. But maybe they're working on a sequel? I don't know. I would like to see a sequel to Brutal Legend. That would be neat. Psychonauts 2. Never played Psychonauts 1, but I'm definitely going to in preparation. I bought it on the PS2 on PS4 program. It looks pretty neat. I'm pretty excited. Or Lego Star Wars The Skywalker Saga. All 9 movies in one game coming in 2020. I'm pretty checked out of the Lego games unless they're like the really traditional Lego games like Lego Star Wars, Lego Indiana Jones, Lego the Lego Movie, Lego Jurassic Park. I'm checked out of those games. The ones that I like are Lego Chess was really cool. Lego City Undercover was really cool. 12 minutes. Started off looking super cheesy and generic. Ended up looking really, really cool. So definitely looking forward to that game. Gears 5. What can I say about Gears 5? It was a pretty weird trailer. It really didn't do anything for the people that aren't interested in the series, which is a strange way to advertise a game. Like, I get it that you want to play to your base, but like, okay. Comes out on September 10th. Maybe I'm going to stream the Gears franchise. Maybe I'm going to get ready for those games. Also, why the fuck was AJ Styles there? A Terminator crossover. That was badass. Until a couple days later, when I just saw that it's very obviously Terminator marketing. A new Elite controller. I pre-ordered it and then I canceled it because I'm bad with money. Internal battery, finally. About goddamn time, Xbox. It's only 15 years late on that. 13 years, I guess, is when Sony did it. Forza Horizon Lego DLC. Oh my god, this looks awesome. I was way into Lego Racers when I was a kid, and this basically looks like a contemporary Lego Racers built into a game that is already existing and is awesome. So I'm really pumped for that. It comes out on June 13th. That can't be right. No way. Maybe I'll have to play some Lego Racers. xCloud, our console server, is basically remote play, which is really cool, I guess. The next Xbox, Scarlet, got announced. I was wrong. Time for me to eat some crow. It was very much just a very small teaser, very similar to what they did with Project Scorpio, and they announced Scarlet. They notably said 8K, but again, you got to keep in mind 8K means anything that has a HDMI 2.1 port can say 8K technically. And you also have to keep in mind the Xbox One S has 4K on the box because it can play 4K Blu-rays. So temper expectations on that. They also mentioned 120 frames a second. Well, 120 frames a second at 1080 maybe. 4K at 60. I think that's going to be pretty standard across the next generation. Notably showed people playing with an Xbox One controller, so I don't think the controller is going to change. That's pretty cool. It's called Scarlet. It's coming out holiday 2020, and Halo is going to be a launch title. They confirmed that, so I was right about that. Halo, the space diaper is back. So they showed off Master Chief's new suit in all its glory, and it's really not his new suit, it's just his old suit. I remember they said they were talking about the redesign of the armor in the lead up to Halo 4, and they said, we think it's so silly that it looks like he's wearing a space diaper. And I think that that's dumb that they thought that was silly, because obviously you got to protect your dick. And so the space diaper is back. The suit looks amazing. It's a little bit green, but they were evoking a lot of it was very evocative of Halo 1 in that opening scene when you climb out of the cryo chamber, and Halo 3 in that opening scene when Cortana is talking to you, and then Halo 1 again when you go back to the control room. So we'll see how it goes. I'm really psyched. Moving on to Bethesda. They came out and they almost immediately apologized for Fallout 76. I liked the way that they handled that. A lot of people have been giving Bethesda shit over this conference, but I think they did really well, and I also think they low-key made the biggest announcement of E3. They've been taking a lot of ownership, and they were praising the fans quite a bit, but it did sound like maybe they had a lot of plants in that crowd that were cheering extra loud and trying to get the crowd into it. And maybe they were piping in those mics extra hard. I don't know. That's just how you play the game, I guess. Todd Howard's shoes are always so fucking cool. Dude has some lit ass shoes. They talked about Elder Scrolls Blades, new jewelry. It's out today, coming to Nintendo Switch this fall. Who gives a shit? I don't want to play Blades on my phone. I don't want to play Blades on my Switch. Fallout 76, the Wastelanders update includes human NPC characters. Wow. Finally, it's stupid that we have to praise them for this, but wow, that's really great. Your choices change the outcome of the story, basically what the game should have been. And it's coming this fall for free, so I mean, I guess good. Like, it's good that they're making good on a very bad game. A new game mode called Nuclear Winter is a battle royale. Who was asking for this? Who wants a battle royale with Bethesda shooting mechanics? No. Ghostwire Tokyo looks pretty awesome. I know almost nothing about it. I should get back into ESO, and I never do. Wolfenstein Youngblood coming out on July 26th, so that finally got a release date, coming to PS4, Xbox, PC, and Switch. I really like Bethesda's commitment to the Switch. Arcane Studios announced a new game. At first, I was upset when it wasn't Prey 2. Then I was really happy when it was Deathloop, because that game looks awesome. It looks a lot like Edge of Tomorrow. Kind of looks like it's presenting asymmetric, two different perspectives fighting each other. Looks really cool. Doom Eternal coming out on November 22nd, and we really didn't have any major surprises, but that was kind of expected. At least they did a way better job than EA. Low key, I think they made the biggest announcement of E3, because streaming is the future, and as much as we dislike it, streaming is definitely going to be the future. But streaming is struggling. Like, streaming, I don't know if you've ever tried streaming games. I have, and it doesn't work real well. Bethesda announced a new technology called Orion, and to my understanding, and like my understanding is limited, so keep that in mind, but to my understanding, it basically can fit on top of any game engine, and it can be fitted for any streaming service. So it basically, because one of the biggest problems with streaming is the friction that you get between the game engine and the service, the streaming service. And Orion is essentially a lubricant that works between the two. It delivers frames up to 20% faster using 40% less bandwidth. So it uses less and delivers faster, and that's really amazing. I think that Orion has the potential to really change the way that we interact with games to a similar degree that something like Steam did. I think Orion is going to be a really big deal, so I'm really excited to see how that goes. Moving on to Ubisoft, or Ubisoft, I don't ever know how to pronounce it. Watch Dogs Legion led the show. Every single entry in this game looks more and more like a radical progressive's wet dream. I really didn't think they could make a game that looked cringier than Watch Dogs 2, but they definitely did it. It's basically Antifa the game. Comes out on March 6th of 2020. I thought Watch Dogs 1 was boring. I thought Watch Dogs 2 was cringy. I think Watch Dogs 3 is... well, Watch Dogs 3 is going to be something else. Rainbow Six, Season 13 with 2 new operators started day after their conference. Operation Phantom Sight, Rainbow Six Siege always looks cool to me, but I never really get into it. They had some Adventure Time game, then they showed off some Ghost Recon stuff. So Ghost Recon Breakpoint, I was a big fan of Wildlands. Breakpoint looks to be kind of an expansion on everything Wildlands was, while fixing a lot of the things that Wildlands didn't do very well. It looks like it's very story focused. There's a lot of focus on the main villain, which is pretty neat. The Wolves is a really cool villain idea, basically giving you something that is the antithesis of the ghosts. That classic hero antithesis, like, Link and Dark Link, Samus and Dark Samus. It's basically make the hero fight themselves is something that Ghost Recon hasn't really done. And so to see the ghosts fight the wolves is gonna be really neat. AI Teammates coming back. I didn't even ever know they were gone. I just played that entire game with friends. Comes out on October 4th of 2020. Quote, live for years to come. So are they going to be turning Ghost Recon into a games as a service type game? And isn't that why they have The Division? Terminator is coming to Ghost Recon. Sure, that would be cool if I wasn't very convinced that it was just a marketing thing because of the Gears announcement. Elite Squad, some shitty mobile game. At least they're aware that we still want Sam Fisher out there, even though he doesn't fucking show up. Just Dance 2020, coming out on the Wii, but not the Wii U. Very weird. Maybe they figure, Wii U has a Wii inside, so, we'll just make one version of the game. Also, the Wii version still sells way more than the Wii U. But yeah, that's really interesting. I might buy that game just for collection purposes. For Honor, new samurai update called Shadows of Hitokiri. The metagame in For Honor is just way too complicated. I can't get into it. Not because I can't enjoy it, not because it's too deep. I just can't. I have no idea where to start, and I have no one to hold my hand. Rainbow Six Quarantine, 3-player tactical co-op. Very unexpected. Really didn't think this was coming. It's really strange that they're going to have 2 Rainbow Six games running concurrently. They have a Division movie starring Jessica Chastain and Jake Gyllenhaal, and they're making it with Netflix. So we all know that that's going to be great, because that's all Netflix is just purely great movies. All jokes aside, though, at one point in time, they had a trailer for a Splinter Cell movie, and we all saw how that turned out, so excuse me if I don't hold my breath. Then they talked about Roller Champions. It's a really fucking weird roller derby game that looks like they're trying to capture that lightning in a bottle that was Rocket League, and I really don't give a shit about roller derby, but I do wish this team would make something new for SSX. I know that EA has SSX. Roller Champions definitely made me want a new SSX game, so EA, sell them the license. Then Gods and Monsters coming February 25th of 2020. Then the worst conference of the entire show, Square Enix. They started with a bang. Final Fantasy VII Remake. They announced it's coming on 2 discs, so the game is going to be fucking long. The gameplay merges real-time combat with the tactical combat, and basically you fill up a meter, you hit a button, and then you feed a lot of commands to your character. This game looks cool as fuck. This might actually be my first Final Fantasy game that I ever play. Then they talked about Life is Strange. I have no idea what Life is Strange is about, and the trailers really don't do a very good job of communicating what it's about. It was out that day. I have no interest. Crystal Chronicles. That's another Final Fantasy thing, which seemed to be a running theme for this entire conference. It's going to feature online multiplayer. It's being ported to mobile. It's coming to PS4, Switch, Android, and iOS, and I could give 2 shits. I really don't care. Octopath Traveler. Just a trailer for the game that came out last summer. Maybe Square Enix wasn't ready to have their own conference. Dragon Quest XI, Echoes of an Elusive Age S Definitive Edition is quite the mouthful. Then they talked about some indie games. Circuit Superstars is a top-down arcade racer. It's pretty cool. Battalion 1944 basically looks like it's Call of Duty 2 in 2019. And I was on Call of Duty 2 a couple months ago. You can still find games. Kingdom Hearts 3 is getting some DLC. Final Fantasy 14, talked about that. That is the, 3rd Final Fantasy announcement of the conference. It's going to keep going up. Dying Light 2 is coming in spring of 2020. I was very bored with Dying Light 1. I wanted to like Dying Light 1. I really did, but I just couldn't. Final Fantasy Brave Exvius. That's number 4. Final Fantasy VIII Remastered, coming to PS4, Xbox, Switch, and PC in 2019. That's number 5. Way too much Final Fantasy in this conference, and the fact that there was just straight up a trailer for Octopath, that this was not a very good conference. And then they finally talked about Avengers. Man, I've got some thoughts on Avengers. 1, the character models look terrible. I know that a lot of people on the internet are already saying that. 2, I'm really glad that Yuri Lowenthal's Spider-Man did not show up at the end like I had predicted he would, because that would have been terrible. It was right in front of them. They could have had Spider-Man be to video games as Iron Man was to movies. It could have kickstarted the entire universe, and they could have had us play, had these games in cooperation with really tight supervision to play similarly, and we could have gotten these really amazing games that all conglomerated and built up to be a game for the Avengers, a story-based game. But instead, we're getting very much a Games as a Service Destiny-like game, and I really don't care. It's coming out on May 15th of 2020. What a terrible conference. Nintendo. I didn't take notes on Nintendo, so forgive me. But then Nintendo started, and wow. Nintendo kind of killed it, and I liked a lot of the stuff that they showed. Animal Crossing New Horizons, awesome. Really psyched about that. Really the big one for me, of course, Breath of the Wild 2. Everyone is excited about that, but that's at least a couple years away. The big one for me was really Luigi's Mansion 3. The fact that the game takes place in a hotel, I feel like is really fun, and it opens up a lot of possibilities for the series, and it's always fun to like think about, you know, walking around a dark, creepy hotel all alone at night, and like that's scary, it's spooky, it's fun. So, and it allows them a lot more opportunity to grow. And I think that they were trying to do that with multiple mansions in Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon, and it just didn't really work out because having like a neighborhood of haunted mansions just felt strange and a little bit off. Whereas having one haunted mansion in Luigi's Mansion 1 was awesome, and having a haunted hotel in Luigi's Mansion 3 is just such a cool idea. And Gooigi finally actually being pretty useful as like a means of solving puzzles. Really, really psyched about Luigi's Mansion. That game looks awesome. So overall, I mean, if I had to rate them, I would say Microsoft won. The Scarlet announcement was a big deal. The Cyberpunk announcement was a really big deal. Microsoft was firing on all cylinders. They could have really, if the Scarlet was ready for this year, they could have stole the entire conversation. But they still really killed it. And then Nintendo, I think, was a close second. The worst was definitely Square Enix, just because it was so boring. I was legitimately frustrated watching it. So let me know what you guys thought. What did you think of E3? How did you like it? And what was the highlight to you? Let me know in the comments down below. Don't forget to check out our website, coldnorthpro.com, for everything we do all in one spot, including both of our podcasts. That's HardReset, the gaming podcast, and NoRefunds, the podcast that watches bad movies so you don't have to. We are doing podcasts and video essays, and we have a new multiplayer series called Rumble Pack. So go check all of that out, please. And don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'm the Law Morris. I'll be back next week. Until then, just go play some games.